one of the oldest automotive marques in Italy.
Alfa Romeo predates pretty much every other major Italian manufacturer that's around today.
A brand prized by connoisseurs, but all too often forgotten by consumers.
There's an entire generation that has no idea what the hell Alfa Romeo is.
After years of struggle, one of the greatest Italian motoring icons once again tries to find glory.
When we decided to completely restart, the first question was, how?
The answer is a lightweight machine that blurs the line between what a sports car is and what a supercar can be.
We create engine art of the car, and only with the hands.
It's a stunningly beautiful, deeply flawed object of desire that every car guy and girl wants to own.
An object of desire built with a unique recipe that has the weight of an entire company and perhaps country on its shoulders. The Alfa Romeo 4C. Goes 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 4.1 seconds. Weighs under 1,000 kilograms thanks to a hypercar-style carbon fiber monocoque. And seduces the eye with outrageous Italian flair.
It's an old school kind of car, right? It's small and it's light. It's got all this personality.
The Alfa Romeo 4C. A supercar with a secret.
It's definitely the most affordable supercar. It looks twice as expensive as it is.
Starting at just over 50,000 euros, the 4C is perhaps the most accessible modern-day supercar ever built in Italy.
Hey, I'm just as cool as a Ferrari. I'm just as outrageous, but I'm a third of the price.
You can save your money and get a beautiful Italian car made of exotic space-age materials that goes incredibly quickly around your racetrack and turns heads everywhere you go.
Heads spin when a 4C goes by, even in northern Italy, the home of the supercar.
For us, cars are a very special thing. And we have speed in our blood. Speed is our daily bread.
Going fast isn't just a skill, but often a daily activity.
In front of a lights, the lights is red, someone look you, is a race. Because in our blood, there are the race and the Formula One. So anytime you have an old car, a scooter, or a bicycle, you have to race.
The epicenter for this need for speed is a 50-kilometer region surrounding Modena, Italy, otherwise known as La Terra dei Motori, or Motor Valley.
If you think Modena, you think the Motor Valley, the motor, Pavarotti. So your heart open to the car, to the music, and to the food.
Modena is home to Ferrari, Lamborghini, Pagani, Maserati, and now Alfa Romeo. A hand-built, high-performance machine.
It adds value to the car, the fact that it is handmade, in an artisanal way.
Craftspeople in this area aren't just workers, but believers too.
Or a guy who, builds Lamborghinis would never build a Ferrari or vice versa. It's like sports teams. You pick one because this is the company you believe in, that speaks to you, and the other ones don't.
I was obsessed from when I was a young boy. Then the ability to come here and choose which company to work for, I chose Alfa Romeo.
Every day, the heartfelt passion is put on display inside of Fiat's Modena facility, where they build both the Maserati Quattroporte and the Alfa Romeo 4C.
Quando sono arrivato qui, mi ha fatto
I was so happy to come work here. Plants like this, which produce dream cars, and particularly Italian dream cars, are few and far between.
Over 200 craftspeople with at least 5 years of experience work inside these walls. Yet they produce just 3,500 Alfas per year.
Alfa's a lot older than people realize. But this is an old brand. It predates Ferrari. It's been around a long time.
The story starts on the 24th of June 1910, when a group of entrepreneurs buy a defunct Italian car company. They immediately rechristen it the Annomina Lombarda Fabbrica Automobili, or Alfa for short.
It was in this Milan area, which today is most famous potentially for the fashion industry.
2 years later, in 1912, the brand goes racing.
Alfa was a kind of a born winner. And its race cars have been always driven by heroes.
The outbreak of World War I changes everything. Alfa falls under the control of Nicola Romeo. From this point forward, every machine will now be called an Alfa Romeo. Yet when the war ends, it's a 22-year-old racer that pushes the brand forward.
This is where Enzo Ferrari gets his beginning. Enzo Ferrari raced for Alfa.
Enzo Ferrari's racing success leads to more wins with other drivers. And after World War II, the success continues.
Alfa Romeo was the winner of the first and second Formula One championship with Nino Farina and Manuel Fangio.
The victories inspire sports cars for the street.
So in Italy, in the 50s and 60s, Alfa Romeo was the car for the affluent sports enthusiasts.
Yet no matter how sporty Alfa gets, they can't seem to stay in the black where it counts.
The cars, the racing victories, they're really romantic, they're really great stories, but the business side has never worked out well in their favor.
By the early 80s, Alfa Romeo looks destined to fail.
The company was once again bankrupt, unfortunately.
In 1986, the Italian government sells the brand to Fiat for over 5 billion euros. Sadly, success doesn't follow.
And then they were launching beautiful cars, but cars which to a certain extent neglected the DNA of the brand, which were coming from a totally different angle towards cars.
In the late 2000s, the brand is once again fighting the odds to stay alive. Yet amazingly, it continues to engender heartfelt passion in drivers across the globe.
Alfa should have probably been dead 75 times. That's why we root for it.
To get the attention of car fans, and more importantly, customers, the brand needs a new vehicle. Something bold enough to bring back the magic and brave enough to inspire the next generation.
Well, I think that a very strong historical brand like Alfa needs to make statements.
Alfa Romeo needs to make a splash. It needs to catch people's attention. And doing that with a minivan, no. Doing that with a sedan, no. You have to do that with a sports car or supercar.
The result is the 4C, a machine that owes its existence to 2 old friends and a 20-year-old idea. For over 100 years, Alfa Romeo has built beautifully sporty machines and nearly gone out of business doing it.
A lot of automakers have looked in the past to actually buying it because there's a lot of interest in it. It's a brand that's ripe for recreation and a rebirth.
By the late 2000s, the company is once again hanging on for dear life, so the brand taps Harold Vester to lead its latest resurrection.
Harold Vester is the CEO of both Maserati and Alfa Romeo.
I grew up in the western part of Germany, close to Bonn. My father was an architect, and I should have become an architect too, and I tried, but at the end, I decided to go for my passion and dedicate totally to engineering.
Vester's love for engineering eventually lands him the plum position as Director of Development at Ferrari, where he helps create the Enzo. It is perhaps the most notable hypercar of its day.
This is a German, a very rational man, who's charged with taking this brand that exists for irrational reasons and putting it back on the map.
It's no small feat to bring one of the oldest Italian marques back. So, Vester turns to longtime collaborator Lorenzo Ramaciotti.
Lorenzo is an old friend. Back in 1998, 1999, he was the chief designer at Pininfarina, a famous design house.
Ramaciotti is one of the most influential automotive designers in the world. His work ushers in the hypercar era. Yet the faster the machines go, the more he longs to create something else.
When you have 1,000 horsepower, how can you handle them? If you're not a professional driver, it's almost impossible.
Ramaciotti's recurring dream is a back-to-basics lightweight sports car based on supercar tech with a sedan-like €50,000 price tag.
I had the idea of doing a car that was small, light, and very fun to drive.
Our common dream was to create a Ferrari Enzo at an affordable price.
It takes over 20 years before the technology is cost-effective enough to use and an idle Saturday morning conversation to bring it to life.
I think it was back in 2010. We had one of the typical Saturday morning work meetings and discussions.
Well, the 4C was born like a toy project. The idea was to build a car that was still affordable while being very, very extreme.
To realize their affordable fantasy, the pair identify 4 key targets for the new machine: a 40-60 weight distribution, an advanced powertrain, a distinctive Italian design, and perhaps most challenging, a dry weight of less than 900 kilograms.
Usually, projects like this in big companies are born like submarines.
Keeping the bold idea below the radar and out of sight from company accountants falls on the shoulders of lead designer Alessandro Maccalini.
Many times when you make a production car, the box is defined. For the 4C, the briefing was different, very different.
For weeks, the stealthy group labors deep inside of the Fiat Design Center in Turin, Italy.
It's an important place because here the dream can be a real car if we are able to transform a simple dream into something more than that.
The team decides to push the affordable edge of the technological envelope and use a carbon fiber tub for the new machine.
When we start from zero, the paper was white.
We had a style meeting with the CEO, and we showed him these models, and we said, well, let's do a concept car for the Geneva show.
It's a gamble that pays off when they meet with Sergio Marchionne, the big boss of the entire Fiat empire. When the 4C is unveiled at the Geneva Auto Show, it wows both car fans and critics. Some are the very factory workers who will ultimately build the machine. Men and women whose appreciation for high-performance cars helps foster a unique artisanal culture inside the factory.
So So when I tell to my friend that says, I'm an artist, it's like a painter, no? You know, this is a part of art.
When you put a Made in Italy stamp on it, there's a pride of craftsmanship that goes back to the Roman times.
The pride in northern Italy transcends the products. What they do in this region speaks to something much greater.
The Alfa 4C say a few things about Italy. We are little, we are smart, we are fast, especially we are beautiful.
It is sort of an ambassador to the world, so it is a bit of national pride, but it's also the brand itself.
It gives me immense satisfaction. I'm proud of the work we do every day, and to be part of a company that is so important to my country.
The massive nationalistic pride and tremendous response to the concept car compels Alfa Romeo to put the 4C into production.
After we showed the car in Geneva, the comments were so positive that we immediately decided to take the car to production.
Just one small problem. Alfa has no idea if they can actually build the car.
When you make a concept, maybe you don't care about something necessary for the production car. It was an incredible challenge for the team because it was not only a problem of design, it was a problem of technology.
Part of the challenge is born from fiscal responsibility. To keep the finished machine affordable, the team needs to stay within their budget.
When you transform a concept car in a production car, you have to mix the different ingredients. You cannot expend a lot for a big power engine. It was an incredible challenge with the carbon fiber chassis inside the car.
Until now, carbon fiber monocoques only existed in ultra-exotic and expensive sports cars. Using one in a machine that's intended to be affordable soaks up most of the budget. But it also shaves weight, and weight is the enemy of high performance.
We are absolutely obsessed about weight reduction. We are constantly on a diet.
To keep the machine svelte, the team forgoes a luxury interior, heavy sound-deadening material, and even a traditional glove box.
So in every part of the car, it was important to reduce, to remove kilogram or gram to respect this data fixed from the beginning.
When they're finally below the 900 kilogram target, it's time to face the next major challenge: wind.
For me, it's very important is because the wind of tunnel is the moment where you check your work.
To conquer what you can't see, the team takes the prototype to the Fiat Research and Development Center, located in Orbisano, Italy.
We are here in the aerodynamic and acoustic wind tunnel.
Built in 1975, the massive wind tunnel has continually been updated to stay at the forefront of aerodynamics.
Imagine you have a turbine which generates a stream of wind up to speeds of over 250 kilometers per hour.
At top speed, the tunnel uses 2 megawatts of electricity. That's enough energy to power over 1,300 average homes. Amazingly, they need all that power to identify mere millimeters of potential alterations.
We discuss about 3 or 4 millimeters. Sometimes millimeters can change completely the performance in terms of lift and drag.
Drag is the amount of air resistance an object faces while in motion. The lower it gets, the more fuel-efficient a machine becomes, and the faster it can go.
With styling people, typically, is a very bloody discussion because they do like a lot this kind of body shape. but we don't.
Aerodynamicists try to find an optimal balance between the design department's sexy shape and the engineering team's technical requirements.
So we try a compromise with them, from styling people from one side and from aerodynamic people from the other one, particularly on the rear side. At the beginning, I remember that they would like completely a rounded shape, but it's not aerodynamic. So we managed together with them the correct curve.
The team turns their collective attention to tuning the rear spoiler.
And you can see here one point, very important for the drag and for the lift too, is the tuning of this side of the rear back.
If you start to mount wings on your cars, you haven't spent enough hours in the wind tunnel.
Getting the height of the spoiler right is a critical step to ensure that the car stays on the ground at high speed.
We are looking for downforce, which gives you a totally stable driving and handling also at high speeds. It's the magic hand which pushes the car on the road.
Downforce keeps the car on the ground, but it's the multi-generational workforce that helps keep Alfa planted.
Many of the people, they are in the third or the fourth generation working for Alfa Romeo.
Giuseppe is an artist, as one of our most experienced workers. 14 years in Alfa Romeo, and also he drives old Alfa Romeo. So your son works in Alfa Romeo, right? In Cassino. All the family work in Alfa Romeo.
Lavoro in Alfa Romeo da 38 anni e sono orgoglioso di far parte.
I work at Alfa Romeo for 38 years, and I am proud to be part of this company, Alfa, that is an historic brand for Italy.
People that come here for work, first love the car, second love the mechanics. When they stay home, they work about their car. They have all Alfa Romeo car, especially the old Alfa Romeo, tuning and fixing anytime. They try to tuning the Alfa Romeo at home.
They really do believe in the product and the brand. I don't think they even have to tell them wear the company logo every day. They would do it gladly because they love these companies.
Pride and honor echo the affection for the machine. But building a new supercar is often a risky proposition. The future for both the brand and its workers is on the line.
So when you bring into production a concept car is always a fantastic bet.
If the bet pays off, the passion for Alfa Romeo will reignite. If it fails, one of the most storied car companies will crash and burn for good. And the deciding factor could be as simple as carbon. For over 50 years, Ferrari and Lamborghini have battled for Italian supercar supremacy on the world stage. One is a mecca for Formula One, the other is known for extreme machines. What they both share is a liberal use of carbon fiber.
That is really at the top edge of the technology. It's something you can find in an Indy car or in a Formula One race car.
Now, Alfa Romeo, the third oldest Italian automaker, is hinging its latest renaissance on the very same elemental technology.
It absolutely is an automotive trickle-down. You know, Ferrari has been developing carbon fiber for a long time, but those cars start at $250,000.
Sure, today, carbon fiber is a material that gives you the higher strength related to the weight. It's used in aircraft, it's used in racing cars. It's almost indestructible.
Even though the cost of carbon fiber has come down, using it as a structural component in a modern sports car is still a very time-consuming process.
Making a carbon fiber tub is very complicated because it's done by hand.
Carbon fiber could be the material in the future. Right now, this is a very labor-intensive process.
To manufacture the 4C's carbon fiber chassis, Alfa turns to the Adler Group in southern Italy, where the state-of-the-art tub begins as a pile of 40 carbon fiber sheets.
It starts with fabric. You can imagine like braiding, no? Like your grandmother does at home. It's a little bit more high-tech, but at the end of the day, it's like this. And then you cut parts and pieces of it.
Craftspeople trim predefined patterns using an air cutting table. The rough pieces are then hand-glued onto a mold using a resin that's vacuum sealed into place. Next, the entire tub is put into an autoclave, which is essentially a large oven, and baked for over 4 hours to set the glue.
At the end of the day, it's coming out of the oven. It looks like one piece, but it consists of many, many layers of carbon fiber.
The finished tub weighs just 65 kilograms.
Carbon fiber is a really interesting material. The reason why you see it only in really expensive cars is because they spend a lot of time making sure it's as lightweight as it can be, but also as strong as it can be. The fact that you can get it in a car that costs less than 100 grand is nothing short of a miracle.
Workers check the tub for defects before shipping it to Fiat's Modena facility, where they start to assemble the body by hand.
People have sort of an image of what an Italian factory ought to be like, based on maybe old movies or old stereotypes. These days, you can't really turn out a poor quality product anymore. So an Italian factory really isn't that different than any other automotive factory around the world.
So on the line of this car, you will not see robots. This is all handmade. That's also one thing that makes it special.
Freshly made carbon fiber tubs enter the facility at Station 1 on the body in white line. Here, 16 craftspeople will build up the exterior using a mixture of materials.
We assemble carbon fiber, aluminium, and plastic. SMC is a special sort of plastic and composite.
SMC, or sheet molding compound, is a kind of fiberglass that's 20% lighter than aluminium.
They use this material for the NASA, you know, the space shuttle.
They swing the tub onto a reference pallet, which ensures dimensional accuracy throughout the build.
In this area, the front frame with the monocoque and the back frame with the carbon fiber monocoque.
The crash structures are the first of over 136 parts needed to build up the body. Each one is installed by an artisanal craftsperson with years of experience.
Quasi 60, vabbè. Ho fatto tutte le lavorazioni.
I'm almost 60. I did all the manufacturing to produce the vehicle, starting with the welding first, but everything was manual. Now, things are different.
Instead of using traditional welding methods, the assembly team uses an advanced polymeric glue that sets in just 7 minutes. At Station 2, they install the side skirt, roll bar, and bulkhead.
You can see the first process was the rocker, which was glued to. Now people are putting on the doors on the hinges. We fine-tune all the gaps and steps until we have the perfect quality.
Next comes the windscreen frame and roof. Finally, the doors are added. At this stage, most of the large pieces have been set in place. But when you're building a sports car with supercar technology, it's the little details that matter.
It's absolutely a delicate stage because the car have to go out for the painting. So if you make wrong something here, the car arrive with a wrong profile. We control the profile thanks this. So the profile have to respect 0.5 millimeter. So our workers is able to control all the profile with this machine. If they control that is 2 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter, they can move, they're able to move and respect the perfect profile.
It's a very manual way of building a body that adds a touch of individuality to each machine.
I remember once I visited a famous shop who produces violins. They look all the same, they seem to be the same wood is used, but each and every is unique, and it's true also for this car.
The amount of handwork required to build the body is extremely time-consuming. Each day, they produce just 18 units.
This is not a process that you can really make industrial in a big way.
It's hand-built, it's hand-done, and that limits the amount of cars that Alfa Romeo can build. They just don't have the capacity to build more.
At Station 9, craftspeople inspect the car by rubbing on an alcohol-based contrast fluid. This helps highlight any defects or blemishes.
This is the final station of the body white of the Alfa 4C. So in this station, we control the profile, we control if all the assembly is okay. We wash with a special additive, and now the car is ready for the painting.
Every day, at a random interval, the team selects one very special body to go through an additional step. Inside of the metrology lab, they digitally scan over 400 verification points to double-check that the panels fit perfectly. After a stamp of approval, sub-assembled bodies are then sent off-site for a splash of color. Once again, the 4C's quest for lightness makes things just a little bit more difficult than the average car.
This is plastic, so it cannot be painted in a traditional painting facility for high-volume cars. This car is painted like a specialty car. They're painted one by one in a specific facility outside the plant.
Great paint starts with great prep. 11 team members spend 3 hours using over 200 meters of tape to mask the bare carbon fiber.
To paint the body for the Alfa Romeo 4C, we need about 8 kilograms of paint for the base coat and about 8 kilograms for the transparent gloss, which means about 16 kilograms of paint for each body painted.
The operators spend 20 minutes applying the first coat. Then it's time for a pair of robots to get in on the action. They take just 11 minutes to paint the remaining 85% of the car. Finally, after more than 40 hours of manual labor spread over 6 full days, a body is ready to return to Modena and enter the final assembly line, where over 200 craftspeople will bring a 4C to life and hopefully help rejuvenate one of the icons of Italian motoring. Alfa Romeo is one of Italy's oldest car companies, and perhaps it's most revered inside of Fiat's Modena factory.
I am Italian, I know that Alfa is part of the history of our nation. I work on a very ambitious project, both for the brand and for the country, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
When I think to Alfa Romeo, I think about the race. I think about fast car. I think about the red that go away on the street.
The brand's latest reboot comes down to the success of their new halo car, the 4C.
It's beautiful, and it's fast, and it's unique. It's a desirable thing. It's a luxury good.
Look at that car, listen to it. It's a feast for your senses.
There's certainly a sort of sexy appeal of having a car that's built in Italy.
This is not an ordinary car factory. This is a high-tech assembly shop. Usually the car stops for 20, 30, 40 minutes, and people are executing very complex tasks.
That sexy appeal is infused at a factory where they've been handcrafting cars for over 3/4 of a century.
Producing vehicles is always something that will make you happy. Producing a car like this one, you can imagine, it is even more satisfying.
The factory's gone through a lot throughout the years, yet they've never lost their love for turning dreams into driveway realities.
Parlo sempre per me, che quando vedo una 4C fuori finita, il percorso là.
Speaking for myself, when I see a 4C outside, completed on the road out there, I say to myself, there is my work.
Io come operaio
As a worker, I am so proud to have a part in completing this vehicle.
ho contribuito a produrre questa nuova vettura.
It's taken over a week for the 4C's bare body to be painted. Yet when it returns to the line, little time is spent admiring the beauty. The first order of business is to remove all the colourful bits.
Nella prima stazione la vettura viene completamente spogliata.
At the first station, the vehicle is completely stripped in order to provide access for the installation of the components, but this also protects the components from damage during assembly.
Dovuti all'assemblaggio.
The vehicle is hoisted onto the line and turned onto its side using a C-hook.
In this special station, we have a big hook that moves the car in this way. So our workers can move inside the car and under the body of the car.
Craftspeople don't have to reach for parts thanks to Alfa's simplified logistics system.
We create a Dominio kit that our logistics bring directly to our workers. Our workers not have to work, but only turn, take a screwdriver and the other part of the car and make only this movement.
While a pair of workers install the oil and brake lines, across the aisle, craftspeople prep the 4C's 1.7-litre turbocharged engine on a sub-assembly station.
This is the area where the motors arrive, and they are connected to the other components before being installed in the vehicle.
The brand new engines are mated to the 4C's paddle-driven double-clutch transmission and kitted out.
Yes, actually born in Modena, and I'm extremely proud to make Alfas here in Modena. Most of all, since Modena is the land of motors, it had to produce a supercar like the Alfa 4C.
True moto passion is put on display just a few meters down the line. In Motor Valley, there is perhaps no more important factory location than the engine install.
Allora, qui siamo alla stazione 4C.
Here we are at Station 4, and this is where we connect the motor.
Senza dubbio la stazione più complessa.
Without a doubt, the station that is the most complex of the entire assembly line is the motor station, where you will see the engine being installed inside the body.
In a land full of high-performance passion, this is everyone's favorite spot.
Come tu sai, siamo a Modena, nella terra dei motori.
As you know, we are in Modena, the land of motors. We produce this vehicle here with so much passion, a vehicle that will reach every corner of the world, so we are very proud of this.
When the car moves to the next station, the dashboard arrives from its sub-assembly area.
Here we are at the dashboard preparation station, a fundamental part of the vehicle. This team is primarily female, the dashboard team, because women are more meticulous, precise, since it is a component found in the interior of the car and it makes a first impression on the customer. It needs to be perfect.
Every 25 minutes, the team sends recently completed dashboards to the final line.
Okay, in this station, we prepare the part for insert the dashboard. So we attack the last cable for put the dashboard inside.
The engine makes 237 horsepower, yet it's the car's airbag that might go boom. Keeping everyone alert to the danger comes down to a very simple solution.
Inside, there are things that can explode. So we use the military box. Remember to our workers that can explode.
A cycle later, it's time to install the car's suspension. This includes the front brakes, primarily made from aluminium, which helps save 2 more kilograms of weight.
Right now, I am mounting the front suspension of the 4C.
The team uses high-tech torque wrenches to ensure that the mounting tolerances are exact. The 4C uses glass just 4 millimeters thick. That shaves 15% off the weight of a normal windshield.
Posizionato il parabrezza in modo da centrarlo.
We have positioned the windshield in order to center it, to make sure it is centered on the body.
Con la stop.
Then it's time to reinstall the colorful trim pieces taken off earlier.
Qui assembliamo praticamente la maggior parte della vettura.
Here we assemble most of the vehicle, really. Fenders, bumpers, doors, all the finishing touches.
Parte finale.
They use a special RGV, or robot-guided vehicle, to bring the doors to the line. It's the only automated system in the factory, and the only tool with its own nickname.
We call it our RGV, our robot, Emilio, because it's an automatic robot that bring the doors and other things during the assembly line.
Installing the doors requires absolute precision.
Inserting the connector is the most difficult. Inserting the connector from the door to the body, because sometimes there may be obstacles.
The car is nearly complete. I think we have another 1 or 2 stations, another hour.
When the 4C rolls off the final assembly line, it looks finished. Yet its journey to a dealership has just begun. Each brand new 4C takes a 40-kilometer road test. When a freshly tested machine comes back to the factory, it heads to the finishing area.
When the vehicle comes in here, it has already gone through all of its assembly and also a road test.
The machines are reviewed by independent auditors. Then each car hits a rolling road before taking a quick shower in the water test booth.
We have at least 100 people that touch the product before it leaves our doors. It's a rather complex vehicle. Even though it's small in size, it is very particular in the details. One of the challenges with this vehicle is there are exposed portions that wouldn't normally be aesthetic to other vehicles. So we have to pay close attention to these aspects of the car.
Finally, after weeks of passionate, hand-built craftsmanship, a finished 4C is ready to head to customers around the world.
4C matters because this is the return of Alfa Romeo, this triumphant brand that's been around for all these years that we haven't seen in so long. And here it is. Look at it. That's why it matters. Look at it.
Some of those new machines might even find their way to America, where the brand hasn't sold cars for over 20 years.
It's a big deal to everyone who's grown up hearing about those great Alfa Romeo sports cars of the past.
At its core, the 4C is a throwback to sports cars from a different era.
Classically, a sports car was a toy. It was something you drove just to have fun. It was something that existed just to be exciting.
It's very clear from the second you get in a 4C, this is not a car that's trying to be all things to all people.
Today's sports cars are way more focused on performance, on lap times and quarter-mile speeds and all this stuff. The 4C is more of an old-school approach to the sports car.
This is clearly not a car that you want to drive your kids to school with because they don't fit. And if they did, they'd be miserable.
This is absolutely a less is more car, because the less weight you have to carry around, the faster you can go, the quicker you can corner, the more nimble the car is.
Alfa's fanatical obsession with weight reduction pays off on the track. Fully fueled, the machine's wet weight is just 1,202 kilograms. That's 138 kilos lighter than a Porsche Cayman, and gives the 4C a power-to-weight ratio of 1 horsepower to every 5 kilograms.
If you think about what the definition of a supercar used to be in the 80s, everyone had to have a Testarossa or a Countach. They were loud and uncomfortable, and the interiors weren't great, but they made beautiful noises, and they were really fast, and they looked amazing. And this is the first time you can really reach out and grab it if you have the means.
The 4C charges from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 4.1 seconds and has a top speed of 258 kilometers per hour.
200 and something horsepower is a lot when the car doesn't weigh a lot, and that's the point of that carbon monocoque. The car's light, doesn't need a big engine, doesn't need to be super horsepower-y to get the speed.
Speed is only one part of the attraction. So is the machine's surprisingly gutsy sound.
Alfa just played the oldest trick in the book. It doesn't have a muffler, like none, zero.
A muffler isn't the only part of the 4C experience that's missing.
Its interior is basically stripped out from everything that it doesn't need.
Stripping out the non-essentials even includes a manual transmission.
Why no manual transmission? Alfa Romeo's official answer is they would like to think of this car as closer to Formula One, which uses paddle-shifted automatic transmissions. Frankly, it's the biggest flaw on this car. This car with a naturally aspirated engine and a manual transmission would be the best supercar in the world.
The lack of creature comforts is the clearest example of Alfa's unyielding desire to shave extra weight and cost from the machine.
Rationally, you can get into a 4C and say, wow, this is like a play school version of my first Ferrari.
The 4C makes the Italian exotic car approachable and attainable for a lot more people.
It's an Italian calling card, best enjoyed in the corners.
Driving this car on a mountain road will make you smile like crazy.
It has fantastic steering. It has great bucket seats that hug you in. And Every time you get in it, you want to go find the twistiest, curviest road you can.
Driving a 4C is easy compared to figuring out how the brand keeps them affordable.
I don't know how Alfa Romeo is building this car and selling it at the price it is without losing huge amounts of money. But look, marketing costs money. You can buy billboards, you can buy TV advertisements, or you can build a car that everyone looks at, everyone wants, and you lose some money on it.
Years of fits and starts and half-baked resurrections have left the marque with minimal market share.
Alfa Romeo doesn't want to be a niche brand. They want to sell sedans here. They want to sell family cars.
The goal of the 4C is to reshape the future of Alfa Romeo.
The 4C is meant to be the halo of the brand. Hey, look, this is what Alfa Romeo is. It's sexy, it's sporty, it sounds exciting.
If you talk to car company executives, they will all say the same thing. We can only survive if we sell 8 billion cars a day. Wrong. Alfa has never sold in volume.
Like an old vine stressed into producing great wine, sometimes it's the struggle that brings out the very best.
What I find most exciting about the 4C is that it exists. I mean, cars aren't made like this anymore. It's something that feels like it was almost snuck past the bean counter.
For over 110 years, Alfa Romeo has fought to stay alive and to stay relevant. Their latest renaissance is the direct result of 2 men and a shared dream.
I don't think there's going to be another generation of the 4C. I think what you see now is probably what you're going to get. Alfa could always surprise us and bring out a new one and improve it, but I think they have some bigger fish to fry.
A €50,000 fantasy whose success or failure is now up to customers around the world.
We tried to do something that was different from what you can find out there, and that was bringing this kind of uniqueness and performance to a much wider audience. The pleasure of driving is not in the 0 from 100 time. It's something more complex. The numbers are there just to be seen on a magazine, but then you have to feel, and that's not easy to express with a figure. There's something that you must feel personally.
It's a machine beloved by purists.
It's a symbol for Germany.
A car admired by drivers.
Getting better every model we build.
And a high-performance vehicle hated by rivals.
When you're #1, you got a target on your back.
The Porsche 911, perhaps the most iconic sports car ever made.
You're not working for paid goods, you work here because the very special products we produce.
After half a century of success, it's now imprisoned by its past.
Whenever there's a new 911 generation, there's a debate if this car is still a 911.
Now, the newest version steps away from tradition and undergoes radical change, adding turbochargers to the full lineup for the very first time.
The 911 represents the brand purity. If you screw up your iconic vehicle, your identifier, it challenges the whole image of your brand.
The result is a sports car that looks like a 911. But does it act like one? It goes from 0 to 100 kph in just 4.6 seconds. Hits a top speed of 307 kilometers per hour. And starts at just over €82,000. This is the all-new Porsche 911 Carrera S. A machine that blends racetrack performance with sporty luxury, and is born into one of the most illustrious car families in the world.
The 911 is one of the longest running names in the sports car scene.
The brand would not exist if it weren't for this car.
The machine garners worldwide attention, but it actually comes to life in a tiny suburb located just outside of Stuttgart, Germany.
The Porsche factory is located in Zuffenhausen, which is a suburb of Stuttgart.
Even though the town is small, the competition here is fierce.
If you live in Stuttgart, you either work for Mercedes-Benz or Porsche. Both are great, but we in Zuffenhausen do it just a little bit better.
Zuffenhausen is one of the most important automotive locations on the planet. This is both the ancestral and the current home of the 911.
Definitely something that warms my heart whenever I go there. This is really a place filled with history.
The car they build is revered by fans and factory workers.
Every car is manufactured here by the heart of the people.
We are petrol heads, and we have a saying here at Porsche that is once Porsche, ever Porsche.
Ich bin sehr stolz darauf, als Stuttgarter Porsche zu bauen.
As a Stuttgarter, I'm very proud to build Porsches. It's very good.
The pride for the car cuts right to the core of the nation.
The Porsche 911 is definitely one of Germany's car icons, and most people know this coming from Germany.
The national honor is apparent on the factory floor, where newly painted bodies enter every 3.5 minutes.
We decided to put the doors off at the rather beginning to ensure that you had no damage.
Company veteran Wolfgang Reiss is the man in charge of 911 production.
It's a combination of handicraft knowledge, because the know-how comes from doing. Yeah? You must work with the cars, you must build them up, yeah? From body in white, from paint job onwards, and to the final assembly line where we are right now.
Then it's time to stamp the unique identification number.
There's only space to engrave the number in the allotted time, and if you don't make it, the whole line stops. You must finish, and only then can work continue. In that sense, there's a little time pressure, but it's fine.
Next, they wire the machine.
Und dann kommen wir schon in die zweite Station.
Now we're already at station 2. This is where we install the wiring harness. It's uncoiled, pulled to both sides, and clipped in.
The size of the harness is a reflection of a core belief. At Porsche, every button does just one job. Just as every worker aims to do one task perfectly.
Yeah, there are a lot of wires in the car. We got a couple of kilometers of wiring in all the car. We just want to put out 100% quality.
On this hallowed floor, the goal is not being flawless. It's something far greater.
It's not perfect, it's really perfect.
The mission to move beyond perfection comes from a one-of-a-kind sports car culture. Porsche mass-produces machines with handcrafted precision. And every year, they build just under 30,000 911s.
I'm proud to work for this company. There's a feeling of pride because it's still a traditional family company in my eyes, and there are not too many of those left in Germany. To me, it's the best company in the world.
The quest for excellence starts early.
I can still remember the first day my dad turned in to the garage with 911. That was 30 years ago almost, and that was the day when I got fixed.
My dad is working by Porsche for 30 years. I was a child and I see all the workers, I see the cars, and it was a dream for me to work here. And so my dad do it, I do it again.
Workers aren't the only ones wowed. The line is almost as fast as the car itself.
We have 118 stations, and tech time right now about 3.7 minutes. We are talking about a lot of complexity and derivatives on this one assembly line.
The amount of choice is overwhelming. They build 16 different variants of the 911, but it certainly didn't start out that way. The tale begins in 1875 with the birth of Ferdinand Porsche.
In 1931, he started up his own construction office.
Ferdinand's engineering company quickly develops into a powerhouse.
He wanted to offer his knowledge to the whole automobile industry. The construction office became the nucleus of the European automobile scene. He was working on race cars, on compact cars, even on little tractors. So it was really a big spectrum of technologies. In many cases, he was the first in the game. In 1898, he built the first electric car. In 1900, the first hybrid car. He designed the Volkswagen Beetle, which was a kind of an important car in history.
The Volkswagen Beetle is one of the most significant cars of the 20th century. It widens the availability of motorized transportation for the masses and lays the foundation for the Porsche brand we know today.
There was the concept of the rear engine. There was the idea of a sort of a streamlined body.
The rear-engined approach begins with the Beetle, but it becomes famous thanks to the 911.
Driving a 911 hard is unique because it's a rear-engine car, and that affects the balance of the car in interesting ways.
Today, the 911 has won over 30,000 races and is known as one of the world's preeminent sports cars. Yet what makes it unique is also its greatest liability. For over 50 years, the 911 has been an icon of the sports car world, turning both fast laps and heads.
Sometimes we have the chance to drive. It's very special. You feel it's like sitting in a rocket. We're pushed in the seats.
One of the most important things about the 911 is they haven't ever screwed up the sports car side of it. They never lost the edge. It is still an amazing car to drive fast.
Today, the 911 flies on the track and on the factory floor. 103 machines roll off the line per shift, thanks to a highly bonded team of craftspeople.
You are with the people here, more than with your family. This is my friends. And after we can go in a bar and drink a beer.
When a shift ends, some workers might enjoy a beverage together. But at the windshield preparation station, the goal is to actually keep liquid out.
This station we put on the rubber sealing for the windscreen. I've got to be very careful to put the sealing in here that nothing breaks or get loose. Everything is running really smooth like a gearbox, you know?
The factory runs like a gearbox, but it's where the engine sits in a 911 that makes it special.
That weight balance makes this car drive in a totally unique way.
The rear engine layout is a hallmark of the machine, and perhaps the worst way to build a sports car.
A Porsche engineer, if you get him drunk enough, will tell you that putting the engine out behind the rear axle is a terrible place from an engineering perspective.
You have the heaviest components in the car behind the rear axle. And if you think of how a pendulum works, if you think about what happens to the car when it starts to rotate, where that weight wants to take the rear end of the car.
Building a car with the heaviest component in the back creates a unique driving experience, thanks to physics. The 911 showcases exactly how the concepts of understeer and oversteer work.
Understeer is when you see what you're gonna hit, and oversteer is when you don't. Understeer is when the front wheels lose grip, and you got the steering wheel turned and the car's not turning. It's gonna go straight right into whatever is in front of you. Oversteer is when the back end of the car comes loose and the car wants to spin out on you.
Staying in control is partly about the feel and partly about the information you see. Much of that data is relayed on the sport-orientated dashboard.
The dashboard assembly is running in the same takt time like the main assembly line. There's no buffer between.
The build starts in another building on the Zuffenhausen campus, where artisan leather workers bring fresh cowhides to an advanced layout table. They scan the hide for defects and arrange digital patterns that maximize the leather. Then they cut the shapes out using an air blade. The raw panels are sent to a parts supermarket, where another craftsperson creates an interior kit. Next, one of the 280 specialized craftspeople sews the interior leather panels together. Finally, the dashboard is glued using a massive press.
With the 911, it kind of depends on how you define luxury. You're getting nice leather, certainly nice materials, but these aren't luxury cars. These aren't the cars that ride with total supple smoothness. You feel the road. It all comes down to where your expectations of the cars sit.
Next to the final assembly line, workers install the headlight switch, the steering column, infotainment system, iconic gauge cluster with the tachometer front and center, and finally, the idiosyncratic left-handed starter key.
They still have the key on the left, and it still comes to life with a character that's, surely it's synthetic, but still sounds different than any other sports car.
Placing the key on the left side of the instrument panel is a holdover from Grand Prix racing in the 50s. Back then, drivers dashed to their cars at the start of a race and fired up the engine with their left hand in order to keep the right hand free for the shifter knob. Halfway down the first line, they swing the finished dashboard into the car and bolt it into place. Until now, all 911 variants have basically been the same. But that changes at the next station.
My work is today the Targa. They put the glass roof on it because the robot cannot do it. When I adjusted tolerance from about 1 millimeter to 0.5 millimeter, so it has to be accurate.
Then it's time for the factory's only robot to join the party.
The robot is a special one, yeah. He's responsible to put in the screens in the right position and to fix it for several seconds with the right pressure. And he's precise really when he put on the clue on the screen, that's like perfect.
When the robot finishes, partially built 911s are sent downstairs on a lift.
Downstairs, they put together the motor, transmission, the tires, everything. We're just putting small stuff. Without us, the car would not drive.
Today, 911s are known as legendary high-performance driving machines, thanks in large part to Ferdinand Porsche's son, Ferry.
Ferry Porsche, he stepped into the company as an intern in 1931. He didn't went to university. He was learning by doing, and he had the best teachers you could imagine, because the construction offices was a team of the best car guys you could find in Europe.
Ferry takes control of the engineering business in 1948.
It was definitely not easy for Ferry Porsche, because his father was a genius and invented so many famous car technologies.
The father-son relationship becomes even more complicated when Ferry sets out to transform the engineering outpost into a fully-fledged car company.
It was a very big step, because first time the company changed from being a construction office into a car maker.
Ferry's dream is to build a proper sports car. The result is the 356, a lightweight four-cylinder machine and the very first vehicle adorned with the Porsche name.
This was a very risky business. It was directly after World War II. Nobody really needs a sports car. People were building up Europe again. And Ferry Porsche, he designed a car which he sold for 10,000 Deutschmarks. For this money, you could have almost 3 Volkswagen Beetles. This was crazy, but he realized very quickly that other people shared his dream of a perfect sports car, and that's the secret of the success of the 356.
The initial goal is to sell 500 machines. It's a woeful underestimation. During the machine's 18-year production run, the company sells nearly 80,000 units. The success keeps Porsche afloat, but by the late 50s, Ferry knows the brand needs a new machine if it wants to continue.
In the 1950s, the society and the customer base of Porsche changed. Luckily, the third generation, named FA Porsche, got into the company. And in 1959, he designed the prototype.
Initially, the machine is called the 901, and when it debuts at the 1963 Frankfurt Auto Show, it catches everyone's eye, including French automaker Peugeot.
Peugeot claimed to have the legal rights for all car names with 3 figures and a 0 in the middle. They still use this system today. Ferry Porsche took a very pragmatic solution. Letters, they were already produced, so they had the 9, they had the 0 and the 1. And so at the end, they just exchanged the 0 by another 1, and the car became the 911.
The renamed 911 develops an almost fanatical following amongst serious driving enthusiasts.
First time I worked here, I was like, wow, it's extreme. Because Porsche is supercar.
Makes me proud to be one of this family who built these supercars.
Big emotion, and I'm happy to build a car. It's this car all over the world.
Part of the machine's appeal comes from its iconic shape.
If you ask a little boy to draw a sports car, in most cases the result will look like a Porsche 911.
Porsche has managed was to keep the basic ingredients but turn it into a car that looks modern, but it still maintains its character.
The design of the 911 is something that's been carefully massaged throughout the decades. They've honed continually over the years.
These days, they refine and advance the shape in the body shop, where they build a mixture of 200 911 and Boxster exteriors inside a highly compact facility.
It's hard to see, but behind me the robots are assembling the front end, the back end and the middle.
The first step is to weld the underbody together. They add the front and rear crash structures. Then the rough-looking chassis is sent upstairs to be finished.
The stations move in a 3.5-minute takt time.
"240 people work here, and another 200 robots help out. Together, they use a mixture of materials to create the body.
The materials used are high-alloyed steels, magnesium and a lot of aluminium.
They put on the doors. Part of the process is manual, the rest is robotic.
We need the accuracy of the people and the speed of the robots.
Next, they bolt on the front fenders.
After that, the front lid is mounted. This is very close to the end of the line. The body have to be perfect.
The iconic looks and the pursuit of perfection have been the brand's calling card for well over 50 years.
When you're building a 911, you have immense pressure. There's certain performance targets you have to hit, but you also have decades of history that you have to serve correctly.
Now, the 911's greatest advancement could be just around the next bend. But whether Porsche fans agree with it is anyone's guess. For over half a century, the 911 has defined the sports car world, thanks to its idiosyncratic traits, unique powertrain layout, and high-performance history.
They found something that worked for them, and it was a unique, different car that people really loved.
The affection rockets the tiny manufacturer to fame.
It has defined the brand. The 911 is Porsche, Porsche is the 911.
However, the more success, the more typecast the car becomes.
You can make the argument that the 911 is trapped by its history.
By the late 70s, the brand is determined to move on.
They've tried over the years to replace it with other cars that are better in some way to wean people off of the 911.
Since engineers can't modernize the car, they decide to supplant it with a new machine called the 928.
The 928 was supposed to replace the 911. It was a V8 front-engine sports car, luxury super cruiser. You tear down the Autobahn a million miles an hour, and nobody bought it.
In the early 80s, the brand tries again, this time introducing the 944, a lower-priced four-cylinder front-engine car.
There was a lot of years, especially like in the 80s, when they really wanted to do something else. They really wanted to build a different car.
The desire to move on culminates in a do-or-die decision.
The 911 almost ended until there's a very famous boardroom meeting where one of the executives writes 911 on the board and says, this is what our brand is, and this is what will continue to be a Porsche, as you know, for the end of time.
The stay of execution keeps the 911 alive, but it doesn't stop technology from advancing.
As decades go on, we find ways to improve cars, sometimes in a way that purists don't like.
To remain at the forefront, the 911 has to evolve, even if its customers don't like it.
There's an old quote that they'll tell you in business school that the customer doesn't know what they want until you tell them.
Engineers decide the only option is to move on from the car's traditional air-cooled engine and to switch to a water-cooled power plant. The Porsche faithful freak out.
The biggest controversy in the history of Porsche was going from air-cooled engines to water-cooled engines.
We were all doubting whether this was the right way to go. And out of the sudden, we found ourselves in a crisis. We take away from people what they have been loving and replace it with something that is a different animal.
This is a point when there wasn't another car on the planet that was still running an air-cooled engine.
When the first water-cooled engine was introduced in 1997, they said that's the end of the brand.
The water-cooled car shocks fans, yet it also becomes the best-selling 911 ever up to that point.
If you want to get into trouble, stand still. If you want to avoid that, you have to move ahead.
Today, the brand faces a similar challenge thanks to a similar change.
Starting in 2016, all 911s, regardless of trim, are turbocharged.
Now you're saying we're going to add this turbo to it, and the turbocharger, it changes the characteristics of an engine.
The significant of a change is when they went from air-cooled to water-cooled, because it significantly changes the character of the engine, which is so vital to the people who love Porsche 911s.
The man who carries the burden is Chief Engineer August Achleitner.
When we develop a new 911, we have a look into the past, but also we have a look in the future. The biggest detail is a completely new powertrain. The completely new powertrain is like a transplantation of the heart of the car. This step from the naturally aspirated engine to the turbocharged engine is a bigger step, in my opinion, than years ago, the step from the air-cooled engine to the water-cooled engine.
The turbochargers deliver more power and better fuel economy. Yet the danger is they can also add turbo lag.
This was a challenge, to have a turbocharged engine, but not to feel you have a turbocharged engine. So it was a challenge we had to take.
The new turbocharged flat-six engines are born one bolt at a time inside another building on the Zuffenhausen campus.
This assembly line builds all B motors for the sports cars.
The process begins in an area they call the supermarket.
Here we are at the beginning. We take the paper and start to pick the parts for this engine.
Each craftsperson collects over 300 parts before taking them to the line, where every shift they build 250 engines.
Here we are at the beginning of the production of the assembly. Here you see the crankcase, the camshaft. We see the connecting rods with these pistons, the basic of the engine. We produce mainly with automatic stations because we need a precise process.
Workers scan every single part that goes into the engine.
We ensure that we have the right parts with our barcode reader.
Part by part, the scanning system builds up a database for each engine. It's a mechanical medical record. Should anything fail, the team can go back and find out why.
During the production process, we have round about 1,000 data about one engine. If something goes wrong, I can go into the data and can look, is there something wrong?
Keeping track of all the parts is a crucial tool when you build a variety of power plants.
We have designed the different variants, the GT3, the turbocharged engine, the former naturally aspired engines. So we have one module design.
Over 20 different versions of the flat six engine are built here, yet the basic layout is identical. Porsche calls it a boxer.
At a boxer motor, the pistons lie. It's 180 degrees between the angle of the pistons, and they work like a boxer.
The unique size and shape of the boxer motor is a result of where it sits in the vehicle.
What you see here is how flat the engine is. If you remember the shape of the 911, you can imagine how that engine goes into the back.
When workers finish putting together the guts of the motor, they send it to another line.
At the main line, we've got about 75 stations. Each station has about 2.73 minutes.
130 craftspeople work on this part of the line, alongside a handful of high-tech robots.
We've got automatic stations with robots for things we have to do very often. But a lot of things we have to do in our assembly line are very complicated and complex, and there we let our workers do it. So here we are at the point where the cylinder head meets the main engine.
At the end of the main line, the engines make a U-turn and flip around.
What you see is it's a mainly man-driven assembling part.
New engines are now ready for the most important station. This is where the controversial turbochargers are installed.
This is a turbocharger. This is special. This is the new design, the new part of our engine.
Porsche's radical decision to put turbochargers on every engine in the 911 lineup breaks with tradition. But it's not the first time they've turbocharged the car. That honor goes to a machine codenamed the 930.
In 1973, Porsche presented the very first 911 Turbo, and this was a big, big surprise for the automobile world, because it was the first time that there was a turbocharged engine installed in a production car, which was actually really working.
The high-powered, hot-rodded engine's introduction coincides with a worldwide oil crisis.
In Germany, it was not allowed to drive on Sundays. They introduced speed limits on the autobahns.
Everybody actually went down with engine outputs and power figures. And Porsche had the guts to say, we've been very successful in racing, like, we know what we do here. So why not trying to do the same thing for a road car?
The turbos helped the 930 create 260 horsepower and reach a top speed of 246 kilometers per hour. The high speed necessitates a bold change to the exterior. Engineers are forced to add a large rear wing, nicknamed the whale tail, to keep the car glued to the ground.
They knew they need downforce at the rear, which the original shape of the 911 never had.
The whale tail isn't the only catchy name for the car.
The 930 had a nickname, and not a good one. It was known as the Widowmaker. Those things were like light switches. Nothing's happening, and all of a sudden, they come on, a whole lot of people who didn't know what they were getting into, they go spinning off into a tree.
Today's turbochargers don't spin you off the road, but they do spin up to 190,000 revolutions a minute. Yet it only takes a craftsperson seconds to install them.
We need the knowledge of our people, and that is the next thing that is different, I think, here at Porsche.
Every 3 hours, a finished engine comes off the line, but it still has one more stop.
This is the final test. It is a dry test. We don't fire the engine, but it is more precise than running the engine. We check 500 parameters here, and if one parameter is not in the range, the engine doesn't go on with the assembling process.
When an engine passes its test, it's time to send it across the street to the final assembly hall, where each new power plant will meet its matching body right in sequence and just in time, thanks to an American idea and a Japanese trick. Since 1964, Porsche has built over 800,000 911s in the exact same location, Zuffenhausen.
It's the most modern facility you could imagine. And every chance they have to make it more efficient, they go for it. And by doing so, they save this car.
Today, they manufacture nearly 16 different versions of the car.
When you're looking to buy a 911, you have dozens of trims to consider. Then choose your level of power. Do you want rear drive, all-wheel drive? Do you want a big sunroof, no sunroof? Do you want it to be track special? Do you want it to be street focused? What do you want the car to do?
You think about the 911, from your base car up to your top shelf 911, that's a $80,000, $90,000 price swing. From a standard 6-cylinder turbocharged basic right up to a 911 turbo with 100 and plus more horsepower, 150 more horsepower. There's a wide variety.
The incredible variety is due to some heady engineering solutions and the worst financial crisis the company ever faced.
In the late 80s, Porsche was in big financial troubles. All the cars were made by hand and was not very profitable.
Just as the car has to advance to stay relevant, the downturn forces the factory to modernize.
We had a tremendous loss at that time, and therefore we changed everything in our manufacturing world.
The company's salvation literally lies on the other side of the world.
In the early 90s, inspired by the automobile industry in Japan, we introduced processes of lean production.
Lean manufacturing is a just-in-time inventory system that reduces the number of parts waiting to be installed.
Throughout the history of automobile manufacturing, you have a couple key innovations. First was definitely Ford creating, the assembly line. Then the Japanese brand take that concept and refine it. Then Porsche makes it work in a way that allows them to service so many different variations of a car.
When the system is implemented, the factory houses more than a month's worth of parts. Today, they hold just 1.5 days worth of stock.
There's so many different variations and so many different customizations on one standard type of body. And that's really difficult for something that's produced in numbers as large as this.
The drastic change reinvigorates the brand and jumpstarts a renaissance that continues to this day.
Today, Porsche is not only well known for its cars, it's also well known for its processes, for its production methods.
More than 560 different suppliers deliver components to the Zuffenhausen factory, often just hours before they're needed on the line.
Today, the production is extremely process-orientated. All the parts come just in time. It's extremely well managed.
Every 225 seconds, a partially built machine enters the lower floor of the final assembly hall. A giant C-hook raises and lowers the car so that workers can access every nook and cranny underneath. They install sound-deadening material, oil, fuel, and water lines. Fuel cells are delivered to the line and installed. The intercoolers are bolted in place. And headlights are slid into the front fenders.
Not so easy, yes. The headlight has many things you can chip the paint, yes.
In another part of the factory, workers begin building up the drivetrain. Brembo disc brakes arrive from a sub-supplier. Shock absorbers are fitted, and bolts are tightened.
You have a lot of really cool tech features on the new 911s. Both the Carrera and the Carrera S now come with PASM, which is their active damper system, which allows you to adjust between a softer setting for road use and a sports setting.
On another line, power plants arrive from the engine hall.
We fixed the engine and the gearbox together, mount the exhaust system.
The manual comes standard, but you also have a dual clutch transmission that allows you to get extremely fast upshifts, and it's certainly the fastest accelerating variant of any 911.
Finally, all the drivetrain sub-assemblies meet on a moving jig, and they add the drive shaft.
We take the chassis and the brakes and the engine, all the parts are come here in this part together. It's simple, but it's a lot of parts, and we put it all together, yeah. I'm very proud to work in this part of Porsche, yeah.
A new 911 is ready for its famed flat-six engine.
The engine and goes up to the rest of the car. It's the most challenging type. You have to look that all fits in. So this is a special thing you have.
The marriage is one of the heart of each plant. Yeah? There we have three big logistic issues. One is the car, of course, which is pre-assembled at that time. The other one is the powertrain, the engine and transmission, which is linked. And the third logistic part is the axles, the front and the rear axle.
The nuptials happen fast thanks to some high-tech help.
It's more than 50 bolts. And some bolts are done automatically. Yeah. And very important is to ensure that each screw has the right torque, yeah, and the response for the people working in that area gets from the screen. It's green or red.
When the screen turns green, the car is good to go. Even though the tools are modern, it's the fellowship that gets the job done.
Without teamwork, you can do nothing here on this part. Yeah.
After the engine is fitted, they install hoses that help the power plant breathe.
After the marriage, we put the bumpers in the rear and in the front on the car.
We put the air filter on the engine. Also put the spoiler on the car.
Then it's time for the iconic Porsche nameplate. And some fluids.
We do plugs from the engine and we fill the fuels.
As the car moves down the line, parts continue to arrive just in time and just in sequence.
This is we call it Bertha. He brings the new parts to the worker on the right place. This part comes on this Bertha for this car.
Bertha is a high-tech way to ensure parts arrive on schedule. But it's the old-timers who safeguard the Porsche way.
The older men teach me how I must work. And I teach the younger how they must work. I'm very proud. It's a good feeling, very good feeling.
The machine is almost ready to rumble, but first it needs a set of wheels.
It's a very special manufacturing station because we put on the tire. And that process is on the left side of the car and on the right car. And we had a lot of different wheels. And then afterwards, it's nearly ready to run.
At this point, the majority of the mechanical parts have been installed, so the team turns its attention to the luxury interior. They install the center console. A craftsperson fits stereo speakers into the cabin panels. And they add the communicative steering wheel.
The steering wheel is more than 170 variants, and therefore, if you had the combination of all possibilities, it's like in mathematics, Fakultät, it's not possible to count.
The steering is wonderfully responsive. It turns into a corner perfectly. The car's very well balanced. They've been working for years to sort out the chassis of this car to mitigate the fact that the engine's in the back and make it handle as neutrally as possible. You don't have to be an expert anymore to drive a 911.
Further down the line, bigger pieces are bolted on.
On this area, we built the seats, the doors, and we make the instruction of the doors and on the windows, the back seats, and yes, it's the magic job here.
The The car is almost done, but it still needs a jolt of juice and a little bit of fuel before it can hit the road. Finally, after 30 hours, a brand new 911 is ready to hit the track.
The 911's always been a special car because it's the one that doesn't make any sense, right? They put the engine in the back, and it's this little, funny bug-shaped car. But from the start, it wasn't just a historical oddity. It was always really fun to drive.
The driving pleasure starts in 1963. And it continues today, thanks to a dedicated staff of engineers who repeatedly have fought off physics to help the car advance.
History and technology, they're sometimes at odds, and that's how the 911 can feel limited by its history.
It's probably the hardest job in the automotive world is designing a new 911, because it has to look like a 911, but it also has to look new. And no matter what you do, everyone's gonna be mad at you. On the other hand, it's kind of a good problem to have, right? Your customers love your product so much that they want the newest and greatest, version of it.
Purists might fight change, but for the team at Porsche, it's a time-honored way to do business.
I think it's a very pragmatic form of function. A little bit the character of the Swabians, the part of Germany this car is being built at. They're very pragmatic and rational people. They say the goal is it's got to go fast. The goal is it's got to go fast around a racing track. The goal is it has to be very economical on fuel. So they sit down together and they come up with a car like a 911.
The newest version offers turbocharged engines in every model.
It gets confusing when it comes to turbocharged 911s because you've always had a Porsche 930, a Porsche Turbo. Now all the models are turbocharged. How does that work?
On the outside, they're going to say this is for performance. Turbochargers make more power, you can go faster. But what's really driving this is that turbocharged cars perform better on government fuel efficiency tests.
Porsche sees a lot of strength in the 911 Turbo. In fact, the Turbo model itself outsells every single other 911. It's an extremely popular car, so they'd be insane to get rid of that brand.
Not that long ago, people both inside and outside the company clamored for the 911 to fade away.
When you look at why the 911 is what it is, you trace it back to the roots. There's some handling quirks. Throughout the years, though, Porsche's found a way to make those handling quirks work, and the modern version of the car is an extremely good handling machine.
Thanks to a strong sense of national pride, some daring engineering solutions, and an unquestionable amount of passion, the 911 has continued to be a true driver's machine.
When you hop in a 911, you have a very good view in front of you because there's no engine. You have a really nice, agreeable shift in your hand. In front of you, you have a nice, giant center-mounted tack, which is so nice in a sports car. In the case of the manual cars, you have these pedals that are positioned like near perfectly for heel-toe downshifting and upshifts and all that.
The incredible thing about the 911 is that every time we think that it's gone too far, that it's gotten too soft, that it's become overrated, that it's a victim of its own success, they come out with a version of it that's still an amazing sports car. I know there's a lot of people who are really, hardcore 911 enthusiasts that will say that 60s, 70s, 80s, the best 911s. They were the purest expression of the 911. But if you're not a super Porsche enthusiast, even if you're just a general car enthusiast, or even if you're not a car enthusiast at all, this new one is unquestionably the pinnacle. I think objectively, the new 911 is the best 911 they've ever built. It is the most comfortable 911 there's ever been to drive. It is the richest and most refined.
It's a machine trapped by its own history and yet continually capable of evolving it. The Porsche 911, a German symbol, a high-performance rocket, and perhaps the most iconic sports car ever made.
Mr. Porsche came up with a lot of great quotes during his lifetime, and maybe the most important one was, "I looked around and I couldn't find the car that I wanted, so I decided to build it myself.
They're known for building Autobahn burners, hot rodding Mercedes, and handcrafting incredible engines. AMG. 3 letters that define high performance for the oldest car company in the world.
It is the best and most expensive from Mercedes-Benz. You get to come in here every morning and build the best car.
Now Mercedes' fastest division is stepping out on its own, building just their second machine from the ground up.
AMG has to prove that it has the capability of building cars that compete with supercars.
To be the best, they have to beat the best.
AMG GT is 100% clearly targeted at the Porsche 911.
Knocking off the reigning sports car champ comes down to a single machine.
When you're doing a halo car, it has to be perfect.
A can't-miss project called the Mercedes AMG GT. Deep in southwestern Germany stands the largest Mercedes-Benz facility in the world. Welcome to Sindelfingen.
It's a romantic factory, it's a historic factory. We just celebrated the 100th anniversary of the plant itself.
The facility opens in 1916 to build aeroplanes. 3 years later, they start producing cars. And nearly a century later, they've built over 20 million machines. There is nothing small about Sindelfingen. Today, the site covers more than 500,000 square meters. That's roughly the size of Vatican City. At Sindelfingen, they not only build cars, but also design and engineer them. The company's main R&D center is located here.
And Sindelfingen is special compared to other plants because you have head of development, the design center is on this plant site.
It's part factory and part suburban city. Every day, over 37,000 craftspeople call this place home.
We are the only one who work at this cars, and it's very special to work here.
Each year, they crank out nearly 400,000 machines, including the C, E, and S-class models.
When you're there and you can help build it, it does make you proud. And you tell your circle of friends, look, we make that car. I am part of it.
But hidden on the second floor of building 3/10 is a handcrafted oasis.
Our focus is the car, assembling the car. Efficiency is not number one.
This is where they build the Mercedes AMG GT. The newest sports car from the most famous three-pointed star in the automotive world.
When Mercedes makes a sports car, they take it seriously. And that's what the AMG division of the company exists for.
The AMG GT is a lighter, faster, and smaller Mercedes supercar designed to beat the venerable Porsche 911. Bringing it to life requires a uniquely dedicated team of craftspeople.
Working on small production series is very different than large production.
It's handmade, handcrafted.
Building a Mercedes by hand isn't just an occupation. Often, it's a family obsession.
My grandpa was working at the body shop, my uncle was working at E-Class, and I work here.
I'm proud to work here, as my father has, and I like it at Mercedes.
Pride goes back a long way.
Mercedes stands for cars because we invented the car.
In 1885, German inventor Carl Benz has an idea. He bolts a small engine onto a three-wheeled wagon. The result is the world's first car. The vehicle revolutionizes humanity, and his company lays the foundation for Mercedes-Benz. Today, it's a global behemoth that builds more than 1 million new cars per year. Each one instilling a sense of passion in the next generation.
As soon as my 3-year-old son sees the star when we're driving on the highway, Dad, your car.
Wenn ich so einen Mercedes auf der Straße sehe,
When I see a Mercedes on the street, then I know that I worked on it too, and one feels proud that one works for such a company.
On a mass production assembly line, workers often have just a minute or two to do one task. Craftspeople on the GT line are asked to carry out multiple assignments per cycle and have far more time. The intricacy adds another layer of attraction.
I had heard that the AMG GT is coming. It would be a challenge for me because one has to work on many things at one time.
Complexity on the line underscores the team's competitive nature.
I think that this model, or this car in particular, offers a challenge to the competition.
That competition lies just 30 kilometers across town.
We should be proud that the GT stands up to the Porsche, because it's a competitor of Porsche, and the GT is an amazing car in my mind. Beautiful car.
The oldest car company in the world is now taking the sports car fight directly to Porsche's doorstep.
You think about them like two boxers. One is methodical. The AMG is that brawler, just gets inside and just starts digging at the body and just hits as hard as it can.
For years, the hard-hitting AMG philosophy is to hammer the horsepower.
One of the most prolific AMGs was nicknamed the Hammer, if that gives you an idea about what their development philosophy is like.
But in an ultra-competitive automotive environment, high horsepower alone is no longer enough. Now, AMG must take the next evolutionary step and build their very own machine. How they choose to do it comes down to the word of just one man. For nearly half a century, AMG has been hot rodding Mercedes.
They were about big power and going fast on the Autobahn.
The quest for big power starts with a bold gamble. In 1967, two Mercedes-Benz engineers decide to strike out on their own to build race cars.
The founders of the company, Mr. Aufrecht, Mr. Melcher, they left Mercedes and founded AMG as a new company.
4 years later, the two founders take a hot-rodded 6.8-litre 300 SEL, affectionately nicknamed the Red Pig, and go racing at the 24 Hours of Spa.
AMG was born on the racetrack in '67, long, long ago.
When the Red Pig crosses the finish line, it wins its class. The victory puts AMG on the path to automotive immortality and crystallizes the myth of the mighty Bavarian engine tuner.
Mercedes realizes there's some potential here and starts doing some joint ventures.
Eventually, Mercedes-Benz said, we'll just buy these guys and we'll have our own in-house performance division.
Today, that high-performance division is known for building full-blown Autobahn burners. And even on the factory floor, the pride is evident.
I'm attaching the components to the motor. Lines, accelerator, water hoses, etc. Everything else that an engine gets. It's definitely more exciting to work on an engine like this, the AMG. The challenge is also much, much, much greater.
Over the years, the hard work handcrafting engines pays off.
You know, when you hear AMG, you're getting the one that makes all the noise and the smoke and spins tires and does all the fun stuff.
The real magic of AMG is the crazy guys behind the scenes. I mean, these are real car guys. They love to be sideways, they love to go fast, they love to have fun.
Real car guys that are hell-bent on proving their engineering mettle in the most contested sports car space available.
If you want to prove your capabilities, then you have to move into a segment which is very competitive.
Their new entry is the AMG GT, a machine born to defeat just one car.
It is 100% the Porsche 911. Is that a car you want to pick a fight with? I don't really know.
The man starting that brawl is Tobias Moors.
And it's obviously a segment which stands for sports cars, with some history from other brands who wanted to face the competition.
Tobias is the head of Mercedes AMG. He is hot rodder in chief.
Tobias is a salt-of-the-earth dude who loves to get down and dirty. He's not a corporate executive who's concerned with profitability and finance, all that.
So a lot of times, someone in his position is really expected to really be out there, you know, shaking hands and kissing babies. And Tobias has managed to just stay a really straight-to-the-point hot rodder who wants to make awesome cars.
Moors begins working for AMG in the early 90s and quickly moves through the ranks.
But at the end of the day, it's your own opinion, and it's always how we would like to drive that car.
It's an auto attitude that comes to define the AMG badge.
I do have my specific opinion, how a car should feel. You have to have a philosophy behind your cars.
That philosophy begins a decade earlier with a different machine, the Mercedes SLS.
The father is obviously the SLS. We started engineering work with the SLS in 2006, brought the car to market in 2010.
The SLS marks the first time that AMG designs a car from the ground up.
Giving them a ton of money to develop an all-new car for themselves, it's a risky business proposition, and it's messing with the status quo.
Until this point, every AMG is a higher performance variant of a regular Mercedes vehicle. The SLS marks the beginning of AMG standing on its own.
You really start to see AMG breaking away and becoming its own core division in the SLS. It was a car designed by and for AMG. When the SLS debuts, the heady looks and gull-wing doors blow people away. And the SLS was a supercar that was really expensive. It only had 2 seats. It had crazy doors that opened up. It looked like nothing else. It really was a showstopper.
The €200,000 price tag thrusts the brand into a new financial stratosphere.
When you start trying to line it up with the market, you find it doesn't really fit in against certain targets. You kind of wonder if some customers were like, well, do I spend this much money on the 911 Turbo or to jump up to the SLS?
Mercedes-Benz has had lots of expensive cars, but that was really pushing it, whether or not a Mercedes-Benz automobile could play in that atmosphere.
While the SLS is a marvel, it's not a volume-selling machine. During its 4-year run, they moved just over 10,000 vehicles. That's less than 1% of the brand's annual output.
It took a lot of fighting to build that SLS. Once that car proved what AMG could do and proved that the business opportunity was there, then the floodgates open.
By the time the SLS hits the market, Tobias already sets his sights on another goal, defeating the 911.
It's an engineering-driven company. We know what we could do better. We had the idea for the GT in mid-10, end of 10. Yeah? And the idea was, what is next? Yeah? A task what always drives us. Yeah? What is next? Then the idea came up to move into a different segment.
Mercedes-Benz has figured out that the most competitive market is just below the real crazy supercar market.
Targeting their local adversary doesn't begin with pen and paper, but rather with a single engineering question: where to put the engine?
One of the rather unconventional parts of the AMG is where the engine sits.
Tobias and his team decide to put the motor in the front of the machine. It doesn't sound unusual, but how they do it is.
First of all, you have to start with some layout work. You know, it's the dream of a car guy.
In most traditional front-engine machines, the power plant sits above the axle, not behind it.
This is a real true front midship engine car, which means the engine's completely behind the front axle.
Placing the engine behind the front wheels centralizes the mass and puts the focus on handling.
Ideal handling comes from a driving situation where you have the center of mass in the car is right by the driver or slightly behind the driver.
The next critical choice is the transmission.
The major decision was to continue with the transaxle concept, which is great from proportions and weight balance of the car.
It's part transmission and part axle. The layout's critical advantage is that it moves a large and heavy drivetrain component to the back.
We have a transaxle, so we have a gearbox, a rear axle. This gives us the weight distribution.
Tobias Moors and his team have defined the layout of the GT, but it still needs a sexy exterior to stand out in a very crowded supercar segment. That's quite a challenge when your main competitor builds the most enduring shape in the sports car world. After years of being known for hot rodding regular Mercedes, AMG has decided to build its very own car to take on the revered Porsche 911.
And our task was to go into a segment with more competition.
That desire leads the team to design its second car from the ground up, the AMG GT.
AMG has been around for a long time. It's only now taken on a life of its own.
The team has just settled on a mechanical layout, and the next question is what sort of suit it needs to wear. Gordon Wagner, the head of Mercedes-Benz design, is the man entrusted with seeing tomorrow before today.
So we are living in the future. Here in our design studios, the watch is fast forward 5 years. Living in the future makes it a bit more easy to design the future.
Wagner is the youngest person to ever lead Mercedes design. He earns the top job at 39.
Yeah, basically the initiative for a new car is just between a few people. Toby approaches me and let's say, let's do a successor, let's do this car different.
Different is difficult when you've got over 100 years of history.
It's a great chance, but of course with all that heritage, it's a great responsibility to go beyond that.
Going beyond starts by going back to the drawing board.
You cannot just sit down and start doing sketches and thinking about random lines. You need to have a picture in your head. This car started actually with one designer in one sketch, and that was it.
Then they moved to an old world medium.
We built it out of the clay like Michelangelo did these sculptures out of the marble.
Yeah, very quickly, in the beginning of the process, we went to blocked in an idea.
The cab sits backwards on the transmission wheel, and it has a very long hood. And this has been the proportion of Mercedes race cars ever since the 300.
The 300 is the 300 SL, perhaps the most iconic Mercedes ever built.
When you think about Mercedes sports cars, race cars, you think about the 300 Calvin.
Introduced at the 1954 New York Auto Show, the 300 SL is an immediate success.
But that was a moonshot. That was everything Mercedes-Benz could do, and it was a lot of work.
With a top speed of 250 kilometers per hour, it is the fastest production car of its day. The car is so revered that it continues to affect the Mercedes design language.
It's like this one here, for example. We call it Power Dome. It comes from the first SL300. Yeah? This is a kind of homage to the cars that we had in the past.
The first time I ever saw the AMG GT, the first thought I had was, that's what a Shelby Cobra would look like if it were designed today by a team of Germans.
There is a certain appeal to having a front-engine car because it gives the car a certain look. Having a super long hood, and the way the greenhouse in the back sits, gives the car an appearance that you just can't get with a mid-engine car.
I mean, it's got that curvaceousness. It really has that kind of sexy, curvy design that we don't get as often these days.
Using one's imagination isn't limited to the exterior. While the design team simplifies, Director of Engine Development Christian Enderle dreams up a new V8.
Mercedes AMG has 8-cylinder DNA, an 8-cylinder history, and 8-cylinder is simply the ideal aggregate of our goals, where we can apply our entire set of capabilities. So there was a blank sheet of paper and the idea that it had to be an 8-cylinder.
They call the 510 horsepower engine the M178.
AMG's V8 has defined what that company is. This one is a little bit different than the previous one. This is a twin-turbo, in-house design.
Turbochargers are driven by the exhaust from the engine, and it's using that energy to force more into the engine on the other side. The Mercedes AMG does kind of a neat trick.
That neat trick is to move the turbochargers from the side of the engine to the top. Mercedes calls it a hot V.
Traditionally, in a V-shaped engine, the air comes in the middle, comes in through the top, and the exhaust is on the side.
If you put turbochargers in the V, you can get them making boost very quickly.
The turbos spin up faster, and the whole thing fits in a supercar.
Those turbos spin up to 186,000 revolutions per minute and push 2.3 times more oxygen into the engine. But to produce 510 horsepower, the M178 has to inject fuel faster than the blink of an eye.
You need to imagine that each injection takes precisely 1 millisecond. That's about 100 times shorter than the blink of an eye.
The downside to all that high performance is heat.
Suddenly you have a lot of hot stuff in between the V of the engine, and that's difficult to cool.
The GT's turbochargers reach an operating temperature of 800 degrees Celsius, well above the melting point of aluminium.
The integration of the V8, for example, with the hot inner V was quite a challenge because we are the first company to put a mid-engine approach into a sports car. And this gives us sometimes a little bit headache.
Designing the engine might cause some discomfort, but it's the 2.5-year development process that thrashes the machine. The team tests the engine in one of 9 advanced dyno cells. Motors are subjected to a variety of conditions, including hot and cold starts, stop-and-go traffic, and even pre-programmed fast laps on the Nürburgring racetrack. The first road-going prototype hits the streets in June of 2013. They take the GT to northern Sweden, South Africa, and even high up in the Rocky Mountains in the United States. Along the way, engineers cover hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Once the development process is done, it's time to build the M178.
The cars from AMG tend to behave a certain way. When you stomp on that accelerator, you know something serious is happening under the hood.
That serious need for speed starts in Alfalterbach, Germany, the home of AMG.
We're always chasing what could be better. We always challenge the status quo.
"1,400 people work here every day. Yet just one person builds an engine from start to finish.
One person is responsible for every last nut and bolt in that engine and putting it together.
AMG stands for one man, one engine. I'm one of these men, and I'm very happy to do this job.
Every builder signs their creation, like an artist autographing a masterpiece.
It makes me very proud. Every engine I complete and put my plate on it, and it's every time amazing.
This is the engine cover you see here, with the technician's plaque with a signature. Very important. One man, one engine.
So not only do you know that your engine was built by one master technician, you can find them on Facebook. That's their reputation online. That's their name on that engine.
There is a motto, you know, for AMG, one man, one engine. That guy who really assembles that engine from the beginning to the end with heart, yeah, with passion. And this is definitely different than just putting together a minivan.
The factory produces 20,000 engines a year, yet looks like an artisanal workshop.
It's not a mass production assembly line. It's a very efficient facility.
It takes 11 steps and 3 hours to build an AMG V8. The build starts by swinging the block onto a special trolley.
First, you put the crankshaft into the crankcase. After that, you turn it, put the pistons in the crankcase.
8 very special pistons, each installed by hand.
Well, it's a bit difficult to put the pistons into the cylinder. I have to make sure that everything fits.
Those cylinders are as unique as the pistons. Each is coated with a nanoslide treatment that makes the metal twice as hard as a conventional engine. The coating is so effective that Mercedes uses it in their Formula One cars. Next, the timing chain is added. Cylinder heads. And finally, the 2 turbochargers. Without liquids, the finished engine weighs just 209 kilograms.
It's a great honor for me to work here. We produce performance products the whole world wants to have. I'm a little part of something big here.
When you're building a high-performance sports car, every gram matters. Nowhere is that more apparent than in the GT's space frame.
Aluminum space frames gives us a lot of freedom regarding weight.
The GT's frame comes to life in Heinsberg, Germany.
And this is where we start building the body in white of our AMG GT.
The frame, or body in white, weighs just 231 kilograms.
Body in white is the metallic structure that gives the car the stiffness, the rigidity, the performance that you need for crash.
The frame is 90% aluminium. Finding craftspeople who know how to work with the material is crucial.
It's kind of hard finding people that are really true skilled laborers for aluminum cars. These people are really sought after.
Steel, you bang it into shape, it stays there. If you dent it, you can pop it right back out. Aluminum welding is more difficult. It's just the more difficult material to work with.
The facility is state-of-the-art and a state unto itself. To find qualified welders, they hire from all across Europe.
All the way from Portugal to Eastern Europe, it's about 20 nations here on board.
The key to the frame's lightweight is knowing how and where to take away material.
So it's a patchwork quilt, right? Of all these different materials, but each one is in the exact perfect place and weighs exactly as much as it has to get the job done.
Before work begins, they have to latch the frame into the jig in precisely the right order. This prevents warping while welding.
That sequence is quite critical. So otherwise you can start moving parts or shifting them.
Once they're locked and loaded, it's time to weld.
What you see here is the first section where we actually combine the front end of the car, the tunnel, and the rear frame of the car.
There's over 100 meters of welded material in just one GT frame. The body panels go on next.
So what we see here now is the framing section where it starts looking like a car.
The framing jig positions the panels so that welders can ensure dimensional accuracy.
See here is the station where the car finally gets its skin. Gets the fenders, the hood, the doors, anything that kind of determines the appearance of the car.
At the end of the line, craftsmen give each body a final check for defects under special lights.
Imperfection that we are looking for. Any scratch, any little mark. After this, the car gets protected against the environment. We put it on a truck and ship it to Sindelfingen.
Finally, a new body is ready to head to the world's largest Mercedes factory, where they build the AMG GT by hand. After 2.5 years of development, AMG is finally ready to build the GT.
What you see here is now the starting point of the production.
The build starts on the second floor of Building 3/10, the Sindelfingen campus.
We have the high-end technology in the car, not in the system.
At most factories, they start assembling a car on one side of a building and finish it on the other. But the GT line is a closed loop, and the first station is also the last station.
We actually move a finished car outside the line and we put in a new car in the line.
Every 30 minutes, when a finished car comes off the line, a bare body enters it.
The easiest entry point is take one pearl out, put another pearl in. The car starts here, goes upstairs, where we do preparation of the doors.
The first job is building up the doors.
Especially because it's a sporty car, there is not a lot space inside. A door is just in the way.
Then they take the partially built doors off and finish them next to the line.
Sehe ich Autos auch mit anderen Augen.
I look at cars through different eyes, mainly because I work behind the scenes and know how everything happens.
Zustande kommt und wie alles abläuft.
The simplified approach hides a serious level of complexity.
Many different configurations, and that's the challenge of the car. You know, we have unique customers and they have unique wishes often. Our job is actually to fulfill those wishes.
After the doors come off, the body heads downstairs to station number 1, where they stamp the identification number and install the wiring harness.
This is the cable harness where we start assembling a lot of cabling. A high-tech car is not easy to assemble and it has very specific parts.
Craftspeople use a home-built tool to install the harness.
That's a shifter knob from an old Mercedes. It fits nicely in your hand.
The retrofitted shifter helps workers mount small clips that hold the harness in place. Next, they fill the car with dampening material.
We have to find the right balance between sport and light. On the other hand, you want to hear the right noise, which is the engine, but not the outside.
Fitting the material is a two-person job that requires precision teamwork.
We have to work as a team, otherwise we don't get very far. If we all just worked individually, the car would never get built. We're attaching the fuel tank so that it sits properly on the insulation pad.
After the fuel tank is installed, workers prep the engine bay for the massive V8.
You have to ensure that the people have all their tools, all their parts close to where he works.
They use a mobile parts tray system, yet the key isn't the tech, but the people.
When you do small volume production, it's important to get the right person in the right station.
Up until now, the car has been steadily moving forward. But when the body changes lines, it moves backwards.
Actually, you see the car is coming with the rear end first, and here we start with the first parts that the customer later will touch and feel, and that's the dashboard.
The dashboard is first built up on a sub-assembly station.
The dashboard is a big part. We pre-assemble it on-site here.
The craftsperson rolls the finished dashboard to the line. Each station has a trolley that's been custom-made for its craftsperson.
Prepare the trolleys. They are defined by the craftspeople who says, this is how I want it.
Workers have a large say in how the factory runs, except for one station.
Now we're at the station with the only robot we have in this production line. We glue the windows and we glue the roof.
Once the glass is set, they start installing cabin pieces. Customers can choose from 13 interior colors and 5 different kinds of trim. They install the 1,000-watt stereo amplifier. Next come leather-wrapped panels. And finally, the center console.
The center console actually is one of the last parts because it's big. Everything big we do late. After that, we already start preparing for the marriage.
Preparing the car for the engine starts by flipping it on its side so workers can connect fuel and brake lines. Once the bottom is prepped, it's time to install the 510 horsepower V8. But first, they have to send the car to the altar.
In German, we say oxide, where they bring the chassis and they couple the engine.
This is technically the most challenging area. In this station, people really work hand in hand like we do in a pit stop, for example, in the Formula One.
They build up the drivetrain subassembly using a jig.
People working here need to cooperate and they really have to trust each other.
It takes 10 craftspeople to put the drivetrain together.
We are preparing for where we lay the engines and the gearbox. So now, bring the engine over. All this top tube. This connects the engine to the gearbox. This is the engine, this is the gearbox.
The torque tube is a type of drive shaft that connects the engine to the rear transaxle. It looks heavy, but inside is a carbon fiber rod that weighs just 3.9 kilos.
Mercedes went with a torque tube made out of carbon fiber just for lightweight. If they can take a lot of mass out of that torque tube, it's less weight that the engine has to spin up every time you accelerate. Makes the car faster.
This is a calibrated pin. I drop it there so that it will fit directly into this rotary object. In university, I studied electronics. I just happened to find myself here. Very lucky to be here, you know. It's a very big international company, building quality cars.
When the marriage is complete, they move the car back to the main line.
This is where we create the face of the car.
The best way is to set the lights correctly in order to actually get them installed right. And then, with the bumper, you need to work with your partner. But then it works.
Finally, they're ready to mount the most famous star in the automotive world.
First, the area is clean, and then the star gets put on. It gets pressed on with a special tool and then attached. It's the best of the best. I cannot say it strongly enough.
Seats come next. Then the doors go back on.
When the door is on the car, then we are almost done. There's only one station left.
The last station is where the proverbial rubber meets the road.
This is the end of the cycle of assembling. Then the car is ready. This is the end of the manufacturing.
It's taken over 5 years to go from one man's idea to a finished machine.
This car, the whole AMG division really steps out of the Mercedes-Benz shadow. It's creating its own cars. It is the big performance flagship.
Now, the AMG GT is ready to take on all comers, including their bitter crosstown rival.
The AMG GT has a very targeted place in this segment. It lines up almost price by price with some of the best performing 911s.
A base AMG GT starts at €115,000, while the upgraded S model goes for over $134,000.
If you're a fan of top-tier sports cars, the AMG GT is very exciting to you.
The GTS launches from 0 to 100 in just 3.8 seconds.
But when you start hustling the thing, you realize, oh my God, this car is amazingly fast. Like, they can make cars this fast that's legal?
The hand-built AMG engine propels the GTS to a top speed of 310 kilometers per hour.
Straight line performance is very important, but it's all about overall package regarding a car, regarding a performance car.
It has hydraulic steering. So you feel everything, you know exactly what the car is doing. It is a genuinely fun supercar to drive, and not all supercars are fun.
You're flinging this car through the corners, and it's leaning in there, and you're right on the edge of the tires, and it's really talking to you, and it's really rewarding to drive.
Creating that fun starts nearly a decade ago with the SLS.
I think this car represents Mercedes' admission that perhaps its two predecessors were too expensive and too dear.
The AMG GT is sort of SLS version 2.0. It's smaller, it's tighter, it handles better, it puts the power down better. It is the next evolution of that car.
The most interesting thing to me about this car is looking at the progression from SLS to AMG GT. Because this car is finally what Mercedes should have been building all along.
The previous SLS, it felt like the hood ended in a different state. The GT feels a lot more manageable. It is an inch shorter, and that doesn't sound like much.
25 millimeters that make a world of difference.
It's more compact, it's more livable, it's more a car than a supercar. But it is 100% a dialed-in performance car.
Performance paired with high-end German luxury.
The inside of this car feels expensive, it looks expensive, and it's comfortable.
I did a 1,500-mile road trip in an AMG GT. Totally comfortable, great road trip car. Getting everything, right? It's comfortable. You can drive it to the office every day.
True connoisseurs, true enthusiasts are really taking note of the performance potential of AMG.
Every culture has an appreciation for a product, and they express that very differently. The Japanese cars, some are expressed in that attention to detail, the Italians in craftsmanship, the Germans in engineering. We don't look at that and say, wow, they're passionate engineers. But it's the same basic idea, right? They love what they do and they're passionate about it. This is finally a Mercedes-Benz supercar that can compete with the other standard supercar for everyday use, the 911.
The way that Mercedes-AMG has gone about building its GT and taking the fight to the Porsche 911, I think is extremely clever.
Cleverness that comes from the front midship layout.
If you're going to say the Porsche is the more precise car, the AMG is the more raucous, aggressive, muscular machine.
Has Mercedes at least approached the fight with the 911 the right way? Yes. Because it's not trying to beat Porsche at its game. It's doing what Mercedes and AMG have done so well for so long and really distilling it down to one car.
One car that's been built with a single focus.
I think the challenge for Mercedes was finally beating Porsche with this car. It's had predecessors that were wow-looking, but didn't drive quite as well go head-to-head with a 911. This one finally moves the mark.
The Mercedes AMG GT, It wears one of the most famous hot rodding badges and is the newest sports car from the oldest automotive company in the world.
It's a brand of the three-pointed stars. It is the performance and sports car brand of Mercedes-Benz. We always fulfilled what we promised, and this is maybe the reason that we have a little bit more freedom now.